Hello, 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 and welcome to the channel. My name is Nate, and this is Peach Domino Paper Crafts. So, I've been a little lax in getting videos out for you guys. I'm sorry, but I still have been working behind the scenes on this whole Journal Rush September and Fairy Wings and Forgotten Things. So what we're going to do today is we're going to make some pages to go in our journals, and I'm pre-making them, see, and that way I can just glue them down onto my page. Like, this is my journal, glue it down, boom, right? Now these are not going to fit every single page that I make, because I make everything from a 9x12, which of course reduces down to a 9x6, to little bitty note sheets about this wide. So these I am making, what did I decide, 8x5 I think. Let me get my ruler and make sure that's what I said. Equipment malfunction. Yeah, just under 5 by just under 8. Well, that's weird, but alright. Yeah, 8 by 5 roughly. So they'll fit on most of the pages. And in what I've done with this one is we have a pocket here. We have a pocket here, but then there's also a secret pocket right here. So this one goes pretty far down, not all the way to the bottom, but pretty far down. These two go all the way down to the bottom, and then I've added a couple of decorations. And I did this on this page. I don't like this. It's just ink, and I just ink blended the whole outside and stuck some stuff over the part that I didn't blend. And then, of course, 2 different kinds of scrapbook paper here. And these are lightweight ones. You can use heavy ones, you can use whatever, but let me show you what I did, okay? Now, I'm going to show you how to make these and tell you how you can mass make them in advance. And what I'm trying to do is I just made up a whole bunch. So this one's stuck together, but yeah, I just made up a whole bunch of 8x5 bases out of old cards that I didn't care for, that I wasn't going to use again. Cardstock paper. You can make it out of really anything you want. I would not suggest making it out of something flimsy, because this is going to be what holds your pockets together till you get them in. And once they're on the page, it could even be that this is what's stabilizing the whole page with the pockets. So I would make them out of at least regular weight cardstock, if not something heavier. Okay, and then, pardon me, sorry about that, had to sneeze all of a sudden. But I got my cardstock cut down to 8x5. I have fussy cuts that we can use for decoration. I have these little bits and bobs that we can use for decoration. Some decorative papers that I think go well with the fairy theme. Some circles. Just some little writing spots. And if y'all want to know how I organize my pieces while I'm doing a journal, let me know. Words and numbers. My box, or my bag of pockets that we're going to use to see which ones fit across. Tickets, labels, stamps, fancy papers, some tabs. I might put a tab on some, I don't know. And some ribbon and lace. And some decorative strips. And, oh, for the fairies, I went to Dollar Tree and found, well, a friend of mine found them, and told me where to get them, but these feathers are, These are leaves, Nate, not feathers. Anyway, I got a whole can full of those. That's how I reuse cans, by the way. And I will grab out some scrapbook paper here in a little while. Not to that point yet. I have not gone through it. I will stop the video later and do that if needed. First, I'm going to try to make my pockets and such out of these pockets, and then go from there. So what I do is, of course, I've got my backing paper cut, and now I go through and I figure out, I know I want roughly 2 per pocket on a bunch. I'm going to do some sideways, but I'm going to show you this way first. I'm just going to pull out my pockets and see which ones will work for the ones that go across, and that won't. See? That won't, but it might be nice on top of one. Same with that, so those will sit there. And most of these are not going to be long enough to go across, and that's fine. We'll cut some. That's for something else. Most of these are obviously not, so I'm not going to test them. That's a tall one. That won't work. This one will if I leave it like that. And I may do, so we'll set it off to the side. Same with that. That one's going to be the same because it's the same pocket. And I'm trying to go through these as quickly as possible so you don't have to watch a whole lot. Ooh, these are nice ones. These are big. So those will work well. Pardon me. Sniffly nose. I don't want to use those for this. What about these? What do we got here? Close, but not quite what I want. So keep going. You think that won't fit across? Kidding. That one will, so we'll put that over there. These are tall pockets that were made for me by someone. They're really tall, so I don't know if I'm ever going to be able to use them because they're so tall. But they're in the pocket shelf, or bag. They're in the pocket bag. That doesn't look like a pocket, but it is to me because it has this second piece right here, so you can make a hidden pocket. I'm not sure what the designer intended that to be, but that's how I'm going to use it. And that's the fun part about digitals, is you can do anything you want to with them. Okay, so these are all the ones I got out of that. Let me go get some scrapbook papers that are going to look good, and we can cut those down, and I will be right back. Okay, I'm back. Did you miss me? So, I wanted to take this moment and tell y'all before I got started again that this is a great way to use up your 6x6 papers. These, I built this box to keep all my 6x6, and luckily I made it big because I got some 8x8s in here too. But it just sits right next to my desk, and then I throw all my empty 6x6 or leftover 6x6 because I used to buy 6x6 paper, but I don't use it often enough. So I stopped buying it, and instead what I've been doing is I will take whatever's left out of my 12x12s and I'll cut starting at 6x6. Does that make sense? If I have enough space to make a 6x6, I'll make one and stick it in there. That way I got various different patterns in a 6x6. Okay, so now that I've cut entirely more 5-inch wide pieces than I need, we're going to do some decorating. Now, you've got your 8x5, and I know it hasn't been as long for y'all as it has for me, but I'm reminding myself as well. You've got your pockets that you know will fit across. Excuse the scraps there. These are, I have this book. Let's see if I can find it so I can show you. I have this book that I'm using some of the pages out of it. It's just an old word analysis book. But that's what those scraps are from. You have your 8x5s. You have your pockets that are wide enough to go across. And now you have a bunch of paper that is 5 inches wide. It can be as tall as you want it to be. You can see I've got some that is 11, some that is, you know, I've got all sizes. So the next step you're going to want to do is go through and you're going to want to cover this with whatever you're going to cover it with, or you can leave it plain if you really want to, but I'm going to cover mine because I want the backgrounds to be a little more pleasing than just blank paper. So what I'm going to do, and remember this is what we're making, basically. A little variant, but you know, whatever. I'm going to go through here and I'm going to take some papers, like this one. I like this one. And it doesn't have to go all the way to the bottom, because remember, we're sticking pockets on the bottom. If you're going to stick your pockets on the sides, then so be it. You know, but what we're going to do is we're just going to, I wouldn't recommend using glue stick for this because this is going to be heavily used on the page, and I personally wouldn't recommend it, but you can if you want. But I'm just going to go around our edges with a bead of glue. You can round your corners if you'd like. I'm going to wait since I'm going to be gluing this down, and my corner rounder will be able to take it. It'll be fine. And just throw on a little extra all the way around. If you want to only glue down 3 sides and make it a secret pocket, you can do that too. We may do that in a different one. But we're going through and we're just adding backgrounds. And I'm going to line it up with the top at least to the edge of the top. It may go a little over. That's okay too. But that way, cut it down. Okay? And then just to show you some variation a little bit, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take one of these greeting cards and I'm going to make it a pocket. So I'm going to take this pattern, okay, and since I'm using that pattern, what we're going to do, we're going to set this one aside so it can dry. We're going to take on the back and we're just going to glue down 3 sides just like you would a normal pocket. Trying to make sure y'all can still see this and that it's still in frame without being too far away. I keep going off the page. Try not to go off the page. You know, because reasons, I guess. Looks like I lost a little glue underneath those pockets over there. So I just add a little more. And then, again, I'm going to go with the top of the page. And I'm going to try to get this one as close to the actual top as I can. And I don't know if any of my glue actually went on because you can see right here. But we'll let that dry, and if it did go on, great, and if it didn't, then I'll re-glue it. But then that way you've got this end open. And let's say, let's do one more. Just so that we've got a few we can work with here in a minute when it comes time to decorate. Again, I'm going to do one of these. I'm going to do a different pattern. How about, let's do something not green. I like the green, don't get me wrong, but yeah, that'll do. That'll work. So since this one's so much longer than the page, I'm going to go to the card instead and just make sure my outsides are good. I'm going to leave this edge open over here though. Gotta get those pockets out, but I keep doing that. I'm going to leave this other edge open so that it can be a side pocket. And then I'm just going to take my space here. And again, I'm going to go from here. I'm not going to put this directly on the top. I'm going to go over just enough, and then squish it down so that it stays. Okay, now we've got our 3 that way, so your next step would be to go through, make sure you got it cleaned up over on these sides if you want it cleaned up. Not all of them. I'm going to go ahead and clean that one up though. That way I'll know better whether or not I have to re-glue it. I don't have a story today again. I wasn't prepared. I filmed a story of my tattoos and I forgot to post it, so that's going to go up tomorrow. It'll be sewing signatures. That's what that'll be tomorrow. And then just make sure that it's all glued down real well. On those 3 sides. And I'm not going to worry about covering up the back because I'm going to be gluing it down to a page. Okay, so we got 2, and then here's number 3. And then we're just going to trim right here. And that piece will go in scrap. I mean in trash. And then this won't get off my fingers. Then we're going to trim this up, and this can also be used as a pocket. It is long or tall enough that it can be used as a pocket. I don't seem to know how to speak this morning. So we'll set that over in our box of pockets. And we've got three backing pages. Now I'm going to go through and do all these other ones later, off camera. You don't get to see everything before it goes in a book, guys. But anyway, let's start with this one. It's glued all the way down. Okay? Now, we have absinthe. It's green. So, let's see what we can do. We can put this one on the bottom if we want. But I don't want to put a whole bunch more green on here, because I don't feel like that would be... I just think that would be a lot of green. You know what I mean? So I'm going to set those off to the side. I'm not going to use a lot of green in this one. I do have this nice yellow one, which might look good in that. I also have this one, which might go well with the fact that it's absinthe green fairy. So we'll save that one out. That one's a little plain for this, so maybe. I know it's plain too, but it's a different kind of plain. Does that make sense? Give me a couple of those. I'm just going to go through and kind of show you the pages while I pick one. Now the real question is, that's too much. Never mind. That wasn't even a question, was it? These are just more of those. Now, not every green is going to be wrong for this, either. But not every color I cut is going to be right for it. Like, that would be way too much. That's too busy anyway. I don't like it. No. See, that wouldn't be... Okay, yes it would. I don't know, pink might work, but there's so many pieces that I have that I don't feel like I need to resort to a pink page. Let's do... I'm trying to narrow it down as quickly as possible here. Let's do this one. Right down here. And let's see about... That's too tall, so let me cut this down. Maybe... Okay, cut it off just above the butter. Take out my paper cutter again. Squash the strips out of the way. Trying to get you on camera. There we go. And just above the butterfly. Okay. Now I like for my holes on my pockets, my thumb holes, to line up. So what I do is I take my pockets. I guess I better make sure that's long enough, or the size I want it. Yeah, that'll work. That'll look good. So I take my thumb, or my tops, and I line up my tops. And then I take my hole punch, stick it in there. Now that's not going to give us a very, very big thumb hole. So let's do this one. Kind of line it up. And cut them both at the same time. That way, my thumb holes are in the same place. Lined up with each other, even if they're not lined up with the page. So, ooh, don't glue yet. Don't glue yet. Skipped a step. But anyway, you're going to go through and do this step for all your pockets. Get all your pockets together. Then you're going to go through and punch all your thumb holes. Then, once you've got that done, if you want to do inking, which I do, you're going to go through and you're going to round your corners if you're going to round them. That fell out, didn't it? There we go. Okay. And then to get these two together, save us a bit. Just line them up how they're going to go on the page. And cut them corners. Okay? Now, we're going to ink, which means I need to pull out some ink. And I'm going to go with Vintage Photo, actually. Go with Vintage Photo. Give it a little bit grungy. Okay. Gather up some ink. Grab your bits. And just start inking. I know this part can be kind of tedious. Not everybody likes to do it. And if you don't like to do it, don't do it. It's not necessary. It's not a hard and fast rule. And there's going to be some of these I don't bother with. But I thought this would look good on this one. And this one I'm just going through and showing you how I make one. And then with the other two pieces, you've seen that you can do variations. They don't all have to look exactly alike. And I did not round these corners on purpose. I think it looks better that way. But again, it's your pockets, your junk journal. Do it how you want it. Just here to give you some ideas, some inspiration, maybe some tips. This came out of a Halloween pack, by the way. I don't know why I aimed that. Sorry. Every time I get on video, I start yawning, and I don't know why. I'm not tired. And I didn't just wake up. I just start yawning when I video. It's, I don't know. And this will be what I work on the rest of the day, is these pockets, so that I can make sure I got enough for both sets of journals. I don't know how many I'm going to put in Not as many as you think. Like, I'm not going to fill it up on every page or anything, but some of them may have one of these, some of them may have none of these, some of them may have 2 or 3 of these, I don't know. Depends on how I feel when I'm making that particular journal. Alright, we got our inking. Now we're going to do our gluing. And you can see on this one I put a journal card right here. I'm not doing that on this one because this one has this background that I really like. So I'm not putting a journal card for interest because it's already got interest. Come on. And then just line it up with the bottom. Glue it down. Squash, squash. Squash, squash. And this wall. I could tell you the story of how my family came up with a couple of names for things. Like, we have the story of Anchorhead Linker. Oops. We have the Squash Squash. And we have Yucky the dog. All those came from my cousin. When she was a baby, she couldn't say her L's. And the dog's name was Lucky, and, well, that's how we got Yucky the dog. And then in first grade, she did a book report or something on Anchorhead Linker, our 16th president. And her dad was a big fan of the Sasquatch that she could not say. So it became the Squash Squash. I'm trying to decide if I want this in here. Sorry. I didn't mean to get all quiet on y'all. Let me try something. I know that wasn't a great story, but it's what came to mind when I was squashing things down. The squash squash. She still has a little bit of a speech impediment, and if she gets real excitable, it can be hard to understand her. Oh, pardon me, but we've all gotten used to it. The year I finished school and the year she started school were the same. No, they weren't. Sorry, she was in first or second grade. I was wrong. But anyway, for a year we went to the same school. It was a very small town. I graduated with 62 people. But they were all on the same campus. And I would get out of school and have to drive from one end of the campus to the other, which took all of 2.5 minutes, and pick her up and take her home. because she lived across the street. It was a very small place. What do we think about that? It overhangs the pocket a little. I'm not gonna ink it either. This is the part where you decorate. And sometimes less is more, so you don't have to always add a whole bunch of decorations. But sometimes you just have to add something. Not always, sometimes it's good without one at all, but I just really felt like this needed something. Still not sure if I should put something up there or not. I think we're going to call that one done, because we're at, right at 30 minutes. Okay, so let me pull these other two out and show you how I would go about doing a mask make. So we've got all our backings on, right? And I think I'm going to go ahead and round the corners. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and pick all the ones that I plan on rounding the corners on and get that done. I'm not a big fan of this corner rounder. What are you doing now? Get in the hole. Thank you. Because it's hard to use, but I just haven't bought the other one. And then this one. Around these corners. And of course, the more you do, the more time it's going to take, but it still takes a whole lot less time to do a mask make of many of the same ones than it does to make them one at a time. Okay? And you could always stop at this step and fix it up later. You know, that's part of why mask making is so fun for me, is because if I stop, that's okay. I can always come back to it later. So I'm going to take these a couple at a time, because my desk is not huge. You can see that. And I'm going to decide what pockets I'm going to put on them. Get those out of the way. Here's all my little pocket papers. And my little pockets have decided to come with them. We'll use some of those too. I'm trying to get these pieces out of the way. So let's see what I've got for my pockets. I'll use this one as my front on that one, and I think I'll use this one as my front on that one. Oh no, I just picked. For shame. I do want one of an off color in between. It makes it easier, in my opinion, for them to stand out if you put something of a different color in between. And it doesn't have to be anything fancy, but it could be. That definitely doesn't fit. But I think this might fit here. What do we think about that? No, you're right. It's wrong. What about this? Just one thing. No, here? Yes. So we'll do those. And you can do more than 3 pockets if you want to. There's plenty of room. Like, watch this. What if we took and put this, and then underneath that we put, we find something worthy. underneath that we put one of these, and then underneath that we put these. Yes. Okay, so we've got that part sorted out. Alright, we've got all our pocket pages lined up. And once we've got them together, we stack them, we'll bring on the next set till we're done with that one. Then, we get all of our desks cleared off. Because let's face it, our desks are full at this point. And we decide, okay, let's get everything cut down in the way it needs to be. So we know we want to cut this off right there. Okay, we'll set that aside in our scraps. And we want this at 5, but it is currently, let's see, let's cut it right here. Oh, you can't see down in that. Okay, cutting them right at the side of the wings. Okay, and then I'll turn it around, measure it up at 5 inches. And cut the other side. And that gives me a 5-inch pocket, right? And then I just take and decide where I want this to go. I'm going to go right there. Set that aside in our scraps. Okay. And then we'll set this one aside and move on to the next one, where I know I want to take off this flap right here. I'm going to line it up, cut it off, and then we're going to go right here and turn it around and go to 5 and cut it again. But I want to keep that tree right there, so instead I think I'm going to cut it right here and then go to 5 this way. Alright, so there's our front pocket. And then this one I think is going to be exactly where I want it, and then this one also is going to be where I want it. Okay, so once we've got all our pockets to the right height and width, then we're going to go back, clean out our desk of all the scraps. What is going on? Why is my phone so dark? I don't know. All of a sudden my phone just went super dark. Oh, because I'm at 4%. Let me come back and tell you after I've charged it. Alright. See you in a minute. Okay. Sorry about that. I should have checked my phone before I started filming. So, because it's been a minute for me, we're going to recap. We have made our backs for our pockets. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. There it goes. We made the backs. Okay. And then we rounded them. These are the steps we've been taking to get this done in a mass make style. We chose our papers for our pockets. And then we cut those down to length. Okay. Ouch. And that's where we're at now. Sorry, I just stabbed myself with a pin. Sorry about the mouse. So, what we're going to do is we're going to take these pockets. I didn't cut them to size yet. Okay. Or did I? Yes, I did. Okay. I'm not thinking. We're going to take these pockets. Turn around. Because I had the wrong pockets on the wrong one. Turn around, line them up, and we're going to punch a thumb hole. On both sets. You don't have to do this if you don't want to. I like thumb holes on my pockets, at least the ones that aren't secret. Yay. Okay. And then that's what they're going to look like. No. Okay. So the next step is we're going to round the corners, put them together, stick them in, and round off those corners. And you want to do this before you ink because you don't want to have to go back and re-ink your corners. Only put as many papers as your corner rounder will take. Because this one's so thin, I know my corner rounder will take all three of these. Okay, and then we're going to ink. That's the next step after you've got these done. You ink everything that you're going to ink. If you're not going to ink, you're welcome to skip this step and move on. And remember, I'm only inking the front because these are going to be glued down to another page, so you won't see the back anyway. And I'm not putting a whole lot, just enough to give it a little bit of depth. You can put more if you like. Remember, we did have this one that is nothing but ink on the background. So you can put as much ink or as little as you like. There's also, you can use makeup blender sponges. But when I use the makeup blender sponges, which are fine for all kinds of things, when I use them for edge work, they splatter ink everywhere. And I don't know why, because these don't. But the makeup blender sponges do work better at spots like the holes for your thumb. Perfect at that. You can get in little spots that you can't get in real well with these. And I have never really cared for the... And when I'm talking about makeup sponges, just a second and I'll show you. Sorry, they're up on a spot on the back of my desk. It's hard to get to. I'm talking about these. These work amazing. You can see where my fingers were on that one. But you can put 100 different colors. Not, that's an exaggeration, but you get my point. You put a bunch of different colors on here. You can keep them into groups, like this one's mostly brown and yellow and doesn't want to come out. They work great for blending, but they also retain color very well. They hold on to it a lot. So bear that in mind. They're great for all kinds of things. I've never cared for the ones with a handle, the long ones with the little bitty round handle or brush pad thing. I've tried several different types. They're just not for me. I'm just not a fan of those. But these are cheap. I paid $5 for this whole bucket full. You can get them even cheaper than that. I think one time I went to Burlington, I had to think of the name of the place, and picked up like 100 of the wedge style ones for the same $5. I didn't use them for this, I used them for something else. But yeah. New uses for everyday things. And I was reminded of this, and specifically to use them on ink because of Pam over at the Paper Outpost. Did a video, great video on it. I'll link that down in the description. This is a very, very boring process. I don't know why I'm doing that bottom part, because you're just going to cover it up. So you don't have to go all the way with this. But I am, because I'm a glutton for punishment. Plus it kind of covers up these edges. Sometimes. Sometimes it does not. Probably should have inked before we put the pocket down, because you can see it's not inked on the pocket, but that's okay. That's okay. This is some paper I got off of Temu that I was going to use for Wizard of Oz. I haven't been collecting any Wizard of Oz stuff lately. I've just been too busy to work on stuff like that right now. I think that come November, I'm going to shut down my customs orders. My custom orders until February. Simply because I have a bunch of stuff that needs doing, and I need to take the time to do it. I've already got 2 books that I have to make when I'm finished with this. When I'm finished with this month. I've got another collaboration that I'm participating in. I'm not putting any ephemera or anything in, but I'm going to be one of the test subjects, so to speak. Since it's Halloween, we'll call it a test subject. But I'm just going to be a collaborator, making tags and stuff for the October Oddities event. I'll post more about that in my my Facebook. And when she does the YouTube video for it, I will share it, pardon me, and make a playlist for it like I did with the Fairy Wings. I believe all the files will be released on the Crafty Dragon Studios page, but the collaborators who are going to be hosting the event are Crafty Dragon Studios, or is it Crafty Dragon Creations? I think it's Crafty Dragon Creations. And Lottie's Magic Attic. They're the ones making all the kit and ephemera and hosting the whole event. And then the rest of us are just giving you examples, you know, like collaborators do. Okay, now that we've got this section done with the inking, we can glue. My dog is trying to get in the bedroom. He can wait. I think I want it this way. Did I do this on any side? No, I glued it down completely. Okay. We're going to go in and just, like you normally would, run a bead of glue. Now, I'm also going to sew these two, maybe. I still haven't decided. I think so. I think I'll sew at least one of these. Probably not on camera because I have no room on my desk for the camera and the sewing machine. But I will sew it and bring the results back. How's that? Now mine, I got a tiny little sewing machine. I think I paid $25 for it on Amazon. And it came with the machine, and of course all its cords and a presser foot. And it came with some fabric, some little bandana sized squares of fabric, and a bunch of bobbins. Oh, I did do a pocket. Ta-da, the pocket. If I can find that same sewing machine, I'll link to it down below. I don't have an Amazon subscriber membership. Follow me and give me money paid. Affiliate. I don't have an Amazon affiliate link. So, there's that. But sometimes you just want to see what equipment people are using. And I don't mind sharing that with you guys. Object to throw against. That's what? Maybe object. But I don't think you're throwing an objection. Maybe. Verbally throwing it? I don't know. I just don't know. I'm not the best at some of the more niche ideas in English. There's a lot of English that I still don't know. And I think it's that way with most people, most native born speakers. Because you only know what you know. You don't know what you don't know. But I still, to this day, learn new things about the English language all the time, 45 years on. And I know the American school system is not the best, believe me, I know. But you'd think they would have prepared us a little better. Okay, we got that done. I'm going to go ahead and go do the sewing, and I'll be right back. Been to the sewing machine. It didn't cooperate with me very well. As you can tell, I'm still kind of learning how to work it. But I'm going to leave it like that because I kind of like it. And our pockets are glued. So it's time to decorate. Now, we could use some of these leaves, but since these are both green, I'm going to leave those out. We could use, what do we got? We got labels. Here's another label that somehow fell out because my labels are open. Okay. We got labels. We have fussy cuts and circles. Stamps. We have some big stamps. Tickets. Junk. So let's find, I think these are all going to be orange. I think I need to print some more of the green ones. Let's see. Yeah, these are all orange. I don't want to use one of those. Okay, so let's see what we got over here in the stamps. There's another label. They're everywhere. Okay, we have little ones. That's pretty. I might put that somewhere. Big ones. Nah. Oh, I left a couple. Anyway, we have to ink them if they have the lines, the white lines on them. I like that one. I like that one. Not all of these are from these kits. Some of these are from just other kits and places that I've had laying around. What do you think about that one? Maybe do the edges in the green and kind of set it like that. It would stand up off the page if we did that. I think these two are from an ink and page kit. What about this one? I like this one. I'm gonna cut this one. Actually, I'm gonna get out my postal scissors from my Boxo scissors. This is my Boxo scissors and pictures, black and white ones. I think my postals are in here. Those are Wave. My postals may not be in here. I may have to do a different kind. Jigsaw will do it. So we use Jigsaw. Put that back in. This way I have decoration and usefulness. I just happened to find that at Ollie's. The only problem with decorative edge scissors is you have to line them back up. Because if you don't line them back up, they don't cut right. Something flashed at me from the other side of the room. I wonder what's going on. One of the printers must need my attention. Okay. We got that cut off. Get all these little scraps out of the way. Some we'll keep, some we won't. I like this one a whole lot. What about putting this one here? Pulling that one out. No. Like that one there. And this one would look pretty here. I'm going to go ahead and put this one down. After I ink it. I wish I knew where my postal ones were. They're probably in a box waiting to be sorted like everything else. We are not going to make this a pocket. You could. You very well could make this a pocket. Be a tiny one, but hey. Sometimes all you need is a tiny note. Right? Like that one. Okay, I don't want another stamp on that page. And I like this one, so I'm gonna not put another stamp on that page. We're gonna scoot those all out of the side, off to the side. Put them away later during the cleanup phase. Ink this one. Had to find my ink. I'm going very simple on colors right now because we're at the end of the month and I am not finished with these journals. I'm not to the point that I wanted to be. I may not get finished this month, but we'll see how far I got and then build up on that in the next few months and get them up in the shop. In the meantime, we're just going to work. Now, lift this up. Put that there like that. What else? I don't know where I set those stickers, the butterfly stickers. But this'll do. Let's see what kind of fussy cuts I have. do have that, so pen and ink would work. I have these green butterflies, lots of green butterflies. I gotta print out different colors of butterflies. Need more butterflies in my life. I'm gonna skip the dream. Oh, okay. We're gonna skip those, the bottles today. There's another flower. Oh, here's a look at that. No, that would take up too much of the page. I feel like that would probably take up a lot of the page. This is earmarked for something else. Here's a pretty green mushroom we could put on these. It's marked for something else. Here's another pretty green mushroom. I can put one over here. Put it like right here and just glue it down on this side. More green butterflies. That's Halloween. How'd you get in there? There's that. A lot of this is going to be pretty big. I don't know. I don't want anything too big because I don't want it to take up all the room in the place. Oh, that's a lock. Duh. That's another Halloween. I'm tired of finding Halloween. I gotta sort better. Okay, so let's work with what we've got. I say as I keep looking through. Okay, we'll work with what we've got. Okay, set this stuff aside. I don't think I want this. Yeah, I don't think I want that there. But I do like this right here. So, just do the stem. And just the very bottom bit of the mushroom to stick that bit down. And then make sure it doesn't go too high up. And that will still let you get in that pocket. I'm not sure. Do I want a butterfly on this one? My dog's still trying to get in here. I would offset the rows a little bit, but let's wait. I know I want to do these. Let's put this. And this one I'm going to ink. Be careful, parts are be gentle, the parts are delicate. Could not find the word, y'all. I'm not throwing a whole bunch of ink on, that's why I have it re-inked. I'm just trying to catch those edges. And I'm going to glue this whole one down. Just like that. Let's check our labels. Tickets. Labels and tickets. What do we got in the way of tickets? I like these small ones. I don't want to use any more green. Right, that one is a little too dark for these. I have this lady here. No, that's one ticket is fine. One ticket is fine. So this one I am gonna re-ink. If I ever find one, I put my ink. just to get those white edges off of there from where I cut it. Always cover your ink back up unless you're going to be using it within a few seconds. I don't know if that's true, but I do it anyway. Okay. Oops, knock the glue over. Point her that way. Okay, and let's see what we can find as a ticket for you. Decorating should be the last thing you do. And I try to do at least 2, possibly 3 at a time. I don't do too many more than that because I don't want to spend a lot of time fussing about with them. But no, that's too many roses. What about this blue one? I want to spend enough time that I get them on there, make them look good, but I don't want to spend hours and hours and hours trying to figure out, does this look good on this, or does it look better over there? And by having 15 of these out at once, then that's exactly what you're going to do, is spend entirely too much time debating on where things look the best. That's more of a label than a ticket, but that's okay. I'm gonna go ahead and put this on this one. How about right here? I don't know why, but that felt right. And I didn't ink either one of those. Oh well. I think this is going to be good to go on that one. We're going to call that one done. So I'm going to set it off to the side. This one still needs some color. It's got a lot of green and it needs some color to balance it out. So I'm going to pull out some labels. Remember, we don't want any more green. No. We don't want any more green, but we want some color. What about one of these? How do we feel about that, y'all? That way there's something on each pocket and it gives it another pop of color so that the greens don't just keep blending into each other. If you put on too much green, it's going to be green fatigue. And this is not a green journal, it's just, you know. Now, if you're doing a green journal, you would want all green. And every now and then have a little pop of color to make it stand out. Or I would anyway. But there we go. These are the 2 mask makes we created. And if you'll give me a second. This is the one we made all by itself, if I remember. Come on. That's as far out as it's going to let me zoom. It's okay. This was our inspiration. So, that's how you create these. I hope you found something useful in this video. If you did, make sure you hit like and subscribe. These are beautiful stickers, and these just came from the Dollar Tree. But, if you like it, hit the like button. Hit subscribe so you know when I put out a new video. Make sure you hit that notification bell so you'll always be notified that I've put out a video. leave me a comment. Let me know what you thought, what you liked, what you didn't like, what you want to see more of. If there's something specific you want to see me try or do or explain, I can do that too. I believe this one was glued all the way down, wasn't it? Yeah. But in the end, I want you all to remember that this is all for you guys. This is all to show y'all to... I forgot I had... Y'all... I forgot I glued these to be pockets. When you're sewing, remember that we left a pocket and don't just sew it up like I did both times. Y'all. They're still pretty though. I still like them. And I will remember next time not to do that, won't I? But anyway, yes, this is all because of y'all. Couldn't be done without y'all. And I want you to take the extra time to say thank you and let you know that I appreciate you. The other creators appreciate you. And by other creators, I mean anybody you watch on YouTube, because without you guys, there's nothing. So yeah. Remember, links will be down in the description. You only have a few more days to get your entries in for the Fairy Wings and Forgotten Things Scavenger Hunt giveaway. So make sure you're doing that. Links to that will be down in the description as well. And I hope y'all enjoy your day, on whatever day you're watching this. And come back and see us in the next one. Thank you. Bye. Oh, I know what I forgot. Not just thank you. Love you guys. Y'all are awesome. And I appreciate each and every single one of you. But also thank you. Bye.